Welcome to yet another session at ACube Studio. My name is Architect Meenu Joshi and I'm one of the founding members at ACube Studio and I also teach there. So in today's session, I'm going to try and answer some of the questions which have been put up by the students and parents regarding design fields as well as some of the entrance exams. The first set of questions that we will be taking up is related to design in general. So I suppose many of you are googling and trying to find out about various design courses available at numerous colleges in India and abroad. But the key question lies that how to make a decision that this particular field is appropriate for me, or this is what I want to do as my career, or maybe this is where my interest lies. So let's see how to go step by step to try and understand what to do when you are confused about design courses. So first of all, many of the design courses are actually niches, like they are interconnected and they are also specializations. Let us one by one look at what these different design courses are, and then I will tell you how you can still narrow down what you would like to do in your future. So we are going to talk about some of the design fields, some of which you might have heard of before, some of which might be new to you. So we will begin first with architecture. So what do architects do and what you are expected to learn when you do a course of architecture? Among all the different design courses, architecture is probably the longest that you might come across because it takes 5 years for you to become a graduate of architecture. And after that you need to get your license to practice from Council of Architecture, and only then you can call yourself as an architect. According to the current situation, the Supreme Court ruling that has been passed, anybody can actually practice designing and planning of the building but cannot call himself or herself as an architect till they have a proper registration with Council of Architecture. So my friends, it's again the question whether it is worth spending these 5 years doing a degree where maybe anybody else could also practice the same. Let me tell you this, there are like pros and cons over here. So first of all, the 5 years degree of architecture trains you towards the profession of practicing as an architect. In this case, what I mean is that from the very beginning you learn different subjects which you would be later on using when you start practicing as an architect. Some of the subjects are structures, some of the subjects are designing of a building, understanding program, understanding professional practice, understanding how to respond to a site, the climatic context, and so on and so forth. So every university that you would look at, if you look at the syllabus of architecture, you would understand that what are the different subjects that you would be learning in these 5 years, and at the end you would be doing two things which are very important. One of them is an internship, so it's for a semester where you would be working in an architectural firm and you would understand how the profession actually performs in the market, and how to interact with clients, or maybe how to work on a project right from the beginning, or maybe how to do working drawing detailing. So in an office setup you would be doing your internship for a semester. The last part of the course would obviously be your thesis, where you would be taking up a project right from the inception to developing its program to finding an appropriate site for it and ultimately presenting it to an industry expert. So in this way, it's a very holistic course for 5 years and you learn a lot in this course, and once you are done with the 5 years you would know you would be applying at various offices to work as an architect, and you get your experience for a year or two before you start your own firm. Many of the students, after doing the 5 years course in architecture, they have different avenues, like maybe they become academicians, so they further pursue masters and then they do PhD and research, and then they of course they go into teaching. Many of them do practice for some years and then they go into teaching. Many of them practice for all their life. They have a scope of working with other architects, or maybe in a builder contractor's office, or maybe start their own avenue. So this is what architecture is when you do it in the way where you take a degree and then get into practice. The other way of looking at this might be where you have some inclination towards construction, designing, architecture, and maybe from the very beginning you may not go for a degree. You may just work on site, and through your experience and practice you may learn a lot of things through experimentation. So this is another way of looking at it. Now here in the other way, there are lots of hurdles, in the sense that we don't know right now if market is hiring people who do not have a degree, a specific qualification, if they are getting hired, at what post they are getting hired, what position they are getting hired, how much they are getting paid. We do not have such kind of a data as of now. But of course, if you are planning to start your own thing, do it yourself, then yes, you would find some examples where people who are not qualified as an architect, but they are doing really wonderful work. And especially a lot of people in rural areas where they are mostly building on their own, over there you would see that rarely people know about who the architect is. They only recognize people who design, construct, build, and just give them ready structures. So in that case, without a degree, there is a bit of struggle, but if you're really talented, maybe you can look at this avenue as well. So architecture we began with, it's a 5 years course. There are more than 400 colleges all over India, where they are government, private institutes as well, where you can apply to pursue this degree. And after architecture, again, you can do masters. You can do masters in India, you can do masters abroad. Doing masters also, there are like lots of options available for you. While in your 5 years you'll be exposed to different fields, different niches, like maybe landscaping, sustainable design, urban design, city planning and such. And from within those you can actually do masters in one of those. You can also do masters in architecture, and then you can practice. Yeah, so this is about the first design course, which is architecture. Very close to architecture is another field which is called as spatial design or interior design. So many of you might want to know what is the difference between interior decoration and interior designing. Many of you may not know what interior designing is. I doubt that now, because of course people are becoming more and more aware of the value of interior designers. So one of the major difference here, I would say, is that interior decorator only decorates a space, in the sense that he or she defines how to arrange certain things, maybe what the wall color could be, or what the fabric could be for tapestries. He or she just decorates this aspect of the house or an office or any other building. Whereas interior designer, right from the beginning, right from the scratch, even he might go to the depth of designing a particular chair or a particular doorknob in that particular interior space. So he designs a space right from scratch. So making the plans, layouts, how the place will be organized to the tiniest part, like how a particular chair would be designed. Interior designer does it all, like right from lighting design to how the walls would look like, what the color of these walls would be, or maybe how the false ceilings would be, what kind of flooring it would be. Everything A to Z is looked after by interior designers. Interior designing course, many places it's available for 3 years, many places it's available for 4 years. We would recommend you to do a 4-year course, just in case if you're planning to do masters afterwards from abroad, because minimum 4-year degree is required for such kind of a master. So even in interior design, many colleges that offer interior design course have got internship as a part of their course, and for a semester, which is a time of 6 months, that you have to go and work in an interior designer's office to understand the office dynamics. Okay, so this is about interior designing. The job opportunities here are that you join an interior designer's office, or you become a designer of your own, or you can also get hired by companies who are into say specific modular designing, so like kitchen design or office furniture design, so on and so forth. The next one we will look at is web designer. So the courses from here on that I'm going to talk about are 3 years or 4 years courses. Architecture is the one which is the longest duration course. So web designing or web designer, what does he or she do? So as the name suggests, this person designs websites. Okay, so as per the client's needs, you would be designing various platforms to showcase their merchandise, or maybe to showcase their work, portfolio, or maybe to put up their company profile on the web. Okay, so a web designer does that. So job opportunities here are, you might so always as a designer you can have your own practice, you can have your own firm, and you can hire people, and you may have your own set of clients, and you can function as an entrepreneur, or you can work in an office which is into web designing or which is into a particular designing. The fourth field we would be talking about is graphic designer. So again, as the name suggests, you as graphic designer would be designing graphics. What are these graphics? These are logos, these are any kind of branding material for a particular company or a client. So apart from logos, you would be designing leaflets, brochures, or any kind of marketing tool that that company decides to use. As a graphic designer, you may be appointed by advertising companies, you may be appointed by marketing companies, branding companies, and so on. So the fifth one is animation designer. So I'm sure that you all must have seen a lot of animation movies by Pixar or by Disney, and I don't need to explain to you what an animation designer does if you have seen these movies, because this is what he or she exactly does. So they create animation. Nowadays there are lots of softwares which allow you to do that. So they create a storyboard and they create animations using various softwares and media, and they create anything and everything from short films to movies to advertisements and such. So as an animation designer, you can actually work with a movie production firm. You can also work in an advertising agency that uses animations for their advertisements, or you can work also in cinema for special effects. Okay, so this is what animation designer does. Here a lot of involvement with softwares is there. So if you really enjoy working with different 3D animation softwares or virtual reality softwares, then this is the kind of field that you should go for. The next field that we are going to talk about is industrial design, or as more commonly known as product design. So in this particular field, what you're expected to do is design various products. Now these products range from everyday items like a thermos or a cup or anything around you, to items which are like maybe like electronic items, which how a mobile should look like, or how sleek a mouse could look like, so something like that. So any and every product can be designed by a product designer. Here you work hand in hand with the technical team. So say for example, if you are designing a mobile handset, how it would look like, then you will have to work with a chip designer or a battery designer or an interface designer to understand how would the overall finish of the product be. The battery should fit inside the case, that inside the body of the mobile that you have designed. Yeah, so as a product designer or industrial designer, you would be designing products and you'll be working hand in hand with other designers. You could get hired by companies who are into production of these items. You could also be a freelance product designer. You could take projects and assignments as per your liking and design for various companies at the same time. Many product designers are also into if you have seen these cool videos on YouTube which would say that 25 cool gadgets for kitchen, 25 cool gadgets for you to reduce your efforts in any way. So these are the kind of products that a product designer can design. He can patent his design and he can actually sell it, or he can actually allow other companies to manufacture his design. So you can also get into that. There are also service oriented designs where you are designing a specific tool to reduce the efforts by construction workers or anybody, like if you would want to help people. So this is what a product designer does, and there are many avenues where you can actually later on work. Okay, the next one that we are going to talk about is fashion designing. So a fashion designer, as the name suggests, designs clothing basically. he or she brings different trends into the market. You work closely with the fashion icons, you work closely with the say actresses for a particular movie. You might get an assignment, you might actually get into later on as a career, you might get into a very specific niche kind of a clientele, like for example just designing bridal couture or something like that. So fashion designer, as a basic degree you would design apparels, but many people also do specialization, like they go also into accessory design, where you are designing either a jewelry or a handbag or shoes, accessories that go along with the fashion outfit that you have designed. So people do masters also later on after doing fashion design, and develop a different or a new or an advanced skill that adds on to the fashion designing. Likely career options for fashion designer could be getting into merchandising, or getting into becoming a stylist, or marketing communications and so on. Very close to fashion designing is textile designing, because it has something to do with fabric. A little bit of difference here is this: you can design textile for anything. So not just for the clothes that we wear or the print that goes on our outfits, but you can also design textile for interiors. You can design textile for tapestries, curtains, any kind of fabric used anywhere. So you can become textile designer. You would generally be doing either printing or weaving techniques on these fabrics. The job perspective for such a field would be getting into home furnishing business, getting into textile designing for a specific company, becoming a weaver yourself, or you could also become a freelance textile artist. Okay, so nowadays people talk a lot about UI UX designer. So let's understand what it is exactly. So a UI designer or a user interface designer designs interface for digital devices, like for example mobile or a tab. The user interface is how a user interacts with various features of that particular device. Okay, so that is what a user interface designer does. He makes it very easy for the user to interact with the device. UX design usually comes first in a product development process, and then it is followed by a UI design. First the product is designed, the device is designed, and then the user interface is input. So how a person will be able to handle a mobile, hold a mobile properly, or talk over the mobile, or hold a tab, that is designed first. And the interface, how he or she is going to use, like how you're going to make a call or how you're going to message a person, that is designed later by UI designer. Likely career options for UI UX design could be voice UI, could be chat UI, could be artificial intelligence, could be information virtualization, could be augmented reality, virtual reality, and so on and so forth. So this was all about what different design fields are there. I'm sure there are many more, but some of these are very common, and I hope we are able to answer some of your questions regarding them. Now coming down to the question where we started, that how do I decide which is the right field for me? So there are 3 things that you can do. Number 1, apart from understanding what does a person do when he or she becomes a specific designer, what he or she does in the field, apart from understanding that, what you can do is look at the syllabus. What are you going to learn in the college? Okay, like that is very important, because whatever you learn, you must enjoy what you're learning. Otherwise it will become the biggest hurdle. You will not be able to learn smoothly if you're not liking that subject, or if you're not liking what you're doing. So check out the courses offered by different colleges, check out what the syllabus is, and look at what the students who have graduated are doing now. How to do that? Well, you have lots of platforms to do that. First of all is get connected with the college through their Facebook portal, or check out their website, and if there is any details regarding what activities they do, check that out. So the first step is to do that. The second step would be that if you get in touch with any of the students who are either recent graduates or they are still pursuing that particular course in the college, then get in touch with them. Ask them how is it like to pursue that particular course, or would they have chosen something else and why. This helps you to understand that maybe years down the line you would be at the same stage, and at that point of time would you be questioning your choice? If so, then question it right now. So second step is to get in touch with these students and to get the information that you need. The last step would be to try and look at industry experts who are already performing very well in the particular said field that you want to pursue, and see their work portfolio and look at their websites and get some insight into what kind of work they are doing now. So many a times it so happens that you have specialized in a particular field, but years down the line you are actually performing very well in something else. That is quite possible when we talk about design, because in a way the creative instinct is what we are looking for, and that is the germ that actually helps you to become a good designer. So it is okay to change the fields when you are practicing, because you might just realize that you are doing very well in something else. So that is fine. These are the 3 ways to understand what field that you want to do. Talk to people, talk and discuss with people, note down the pros and cons. The second set of questions that we would be looking at is whether to study in India or abroad. So the question about whether one should do undergraduation in India or abroad, we would say that it depends on a couple of things. So here we are going to pinpoint 3 things which we feel would become a deciding factor for you to do your undergraduation either in India or abroad. Number 1, so the first thing would be what that course is. So there are some courses which require you to get a certification or a license to practice. For example, architecture. So if you are going to do such a course which requires you to have a license for practicing as an architect or as that expert, then you need to check out whether that particular course done in a university abroad is valid in India or not. Now, how can you check that? So one of the way of checking that is go to AIU, Association of Indian Universities. On this page of Association of Indian Universities, you would also find whether the particular degree that you want to do abroad has got an equivalency or not. So you obtain when you come back to India, and if you want to practice in India, then you get an equivalency certificate. You submit that certificate to a particular governing body, like for example in this case Council of Architecture, and then maybe they might give you a license to practice. Now specifically in case of architecture, you must also look at Architects Act. Okay, so I'll tell you, clause number 15 in Architects Act gives you a list of specific schedule of degrees that are allowed to practice in India under a reciprocal arrangement. Like the Indian architects could also practice there, and people who have done degree from those particular universities could also come and practice in India. So there is an extensive list given in this particular act. You must Google it and you must find out. Then you will also have to register with the proper bodies, like for example you must have to register with council and so on and so forth. For other degrees, I would say that this may not be valid, because probably architecture is the only design course that gives you a license to practice. All the other degrees are in a way just degrees, okay, and there is no requirement of any license for you to practice as a graphic designer or a web designer or any other kind of designer. So this is valid specifically. What kind of course you want to do is valid specifically more for architecture. Another reason why this question is valid is because the way in which we do architecture in India, the kind of materials we use, the kind of climate response we put in our projects is very different from what is happening abroad. Okay, so abroad most of the countries are cold countries, and the kind of materials they use is very different from what you use in India. So of course they would be teaching architecture with reference to the techniques and materials that they are using. So when you come back to India for practicing, you may have to revamp or you may have to revise whatever you have learned. You may have to gear up and try to learn more so that you can apply the same logic back in India. For other courses, this may not be as much valid. The second pointer that we would talk about is finances. So many courses now in India, design courses, cost almost the same as they might cost abroad. The only cost that may not be taken into account is maybe the living cost. So if you are planning to do graphic design, product design or such kind of courses from abroad, do check out that the university that you are applying is one of the best universities. It has got a good lab, it gives you a good practical experience, it gives you an opportunity to do prototyping of your products, and then it becomes valid that you do your graduation, undergraduation from such universities abroad. Fees might vary, but not that much. Nowadays we have design courses in India which are equally expensive, with more and more private universities coming up and teaching or offering these design courses. So do check out financially whether it is feasible for you to study abroad or not. And the last thing that we wanted to talk about in terms of whether you should take your degree from India or abroad, and the third and the last reason would be whether you can manage things on your own. When we talk about staying in a hostel and being on your own, when you are in the country within the Indian borders, it is easy for your parents to come and help you out if you are sick, if you are in the times of need. They can come. But if you are abroad, it might become a little difficult for them to travel immediately if you need them. So we would suggest that consider this aspect as well. If you have never been on your own, then do try to live on your own for some days before you make a decision of going abroad. Make sure that you learn a little bit of cooking, learn a little bit of taking care of yourself, taking care of the money, and such kind of things. You are a very self-motivated person. Because nobody will be there to tell you to do your work on time or such kind of things. So before taking a decision of going abroad, make sure that you're able to take care of yourself, and your parents will not have to rush to pay attention to your needs, or maybe you would not want to leave the course halfway just because you can't take care of yourself. So this reason may sound very stupid to begin with, but it's a very, very important reason. Many students struggle with this and then they leave the course halfway. So friends, don't take this lightly. Look into this as well. Okay, so this is all about whether you should study in India or abroad. Abroad also there are lots of universities in UK, USA, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia. We would recommend you to do thorough research of these universities before you pick one. So there are lots of ratings that are available. There are lots of very good universities put into a specific group. Like for example, if we talk about UK, the best universities are put into Russell Group. If we talk about USA, they are put into Ivy League. So this is valid for all different places that you want to do your graduation from. Make sure that that university is the best. Alright. The last part of the questions is about two specific entrance exams, NATA and JEE Paper 2. So both these entrance exams are for pursuing architecture. NATA stands for National Aptitude Test in Architecture, while JEE stands for Joint Entrance Exams. Both these exams can be given by any candidate who wants to pursue architecture. We will talk in detail about how the paper looks like and what the syllabus is. So for NATA exam, total 200 marks exam is there, and there are two parts of this exam. Part A, which comprises of drawing. There are total 3 questions of drawing. 2 questions would be of 35 marks and 1 question would be of 55 marks. So the drawing questions are total 125 marks. The part B is more about aptitude, general aptitude, reasoning and physics, chemistry and maths knowledge. So up until now only maths was a part of the NATA exam, but from this year for NATA 2020 they have also included physics and chemistry. So detailed syllabus of what topics they are going to cover under PCM is given on NATA portal, or even if you Google NATA 2020 syllabus, you will be able to look into that. So this entire section is totally of 75 marks. there will be 15 questions from PCM and there will be 35 questions from general aptitude and reasoning, 1.5 marks each. There is no negative marking. Okay, so you must answer each and every question. So for NATA exam, the total marks are 200. The total time is 3 hours. So you are given a total of 135 minutes for drawing and 45 minutes for your aptitude test, and there might be a break in between. Okay, so once you are done with your NATA exam and the merit list is out, there are some tiebreakers for the people who are having same score. So the tiebreakers are in this particular order only. So first of all, the person who has got highest marks in maths, that person will be put higher on the merit list and the other person would be put lower. The second tiebreaker is less number of wrong answers in maths. So even if there is no negative marking, if you have got less number of wrong answers in your maths, then you would be put higher on the merit list. Okay. The third tiebreaker would be aptitude. So if you have got higher score in your aptitude answers, then you would be put higher up on the merit list. And the fourth one would be if you have got less wrong answers in your aptitude section, then you would be put higher on the merit list. The last one, age. The candidate who is older would be put higher on the merit list. So guys, how do these tiebreakers work? So say for example the first one, maths. So if you have got same NATA score, the candidate who has got higher marks in maths would be put first. But supposingly even in maths, if both the candidates have got the same marks, then they go to the next tiebreaker, which is less number of wrong answers in the maths section. Even if that is same, then they go to the next, and so on and so forth. So this is how the tiebreakers are used. So they will be used in this particular sequence only. Next we talk about JEE paper 2. So JEE paper 2 has got two sections as well. The first section is about maths and aptitude, which would be a computer based exam, and the second section is drawing, which would be a pen and paper exam. The total duration of this exam is 3 hours and the total marks are 400 marks. So here for drawing you have 100 marks, and for your maths and aptitude, which aptitude could be general aptitude, non-verbal reasoning, 3D visualization and so on, it would be total of 300 marks. Okay. So even here there are tiebreakers, and here there is one more rule which is different than the NATA exam, which is negative marking. So let us look at negative marking a little bit more in detail. So here for maths you have 20 MCQs, for aptitude you have 50 MCQs, and for drawing you have 2 questions. Now in maths, out of those 20 MCQs, there will be 5 which will be numerical question. Okay, and you will get 4 marks for each correct answer, whereas if you get a wrong answer, then 1 mark will be deducted. Okay, and the question which is a numerical question, in that you will get 4 marks and there is no negative marking. So if you have the right answer for your numerical question, you will get 4 marks, but if you get that wrong, then there will be no negative marking. Okay, so JEE tiebreaker goes like this. The first one is maths again. So the person who has got higher score in maths gets higher on the merit list. The second one is aptitude. The third one is drawing. The fourth one is less number of negative responses overall, and the last one is age. Okay, so the tiebreakers will work in this particular sequence. Now a lot of students have this question that NATA is a exam organized by Council of Architecture, then do we need, NATA is a compulsory exam for pursuing architecture, then do we also need to give JEE? It goes like this. JEE you must give, especially for the candidates who are from Maharashtra, who are going to take admission through DTE, Director of Technical Education. When you are filling the form of DTE, at that point of time, you will be asked if you have given JEE paper 2. Say for example, you have given JEE paper 2, you put the score of JEE paper 2 in that section, and the merit list will be prepared based on your score either of your NATA or JEE paper 2, whichever is higher. Now JEE paper 2 score is normalized using some kind of a multiplication or division factor. It is normalized, and after that normalization is done, if your score of that particular JEE paper 2 is higher than your NATA, then that will be considered. So the candidates who struggle a lot with drawing, because NATA has got 125 marks of drawing. If you are struggling so much with drawing, but if you are good with your aptitude and your maths, then you may have a good chance of scoring in JEE paper 2. Okay, so you must give both the exams, is what we would recommend to you. JEE paper 2 is also specifically given for NITs. So NITs, there are total 31 NITs in India, and out of which 9 NITs offer architecture course, and the admission is through your JEE paper 2 score. So there are also, so total there are 559 seats in those NITs where you can pursue BArch. Addition to that, there are also 5 central and state funded technical institutes. So there are total 331 additional seats. So if you have given JEE paper 2, you also have a chance to get into NITs. Now, how does one get into NIT? So you have to Google on website about JOSAA, JOSAA. It stands for Joint Seat Allocation Authority. Okay, so through JOSAA counseling, you will be allotted into NIT if you have filled up the form. Usually it opens in sometime in June, July. The registration for JOSAA opens then. But this year, I don't know, because of COVID 2019. We don't know what the situation is going to be. So you must Google and you must keep looking for these registration dates and so on. Okay, so if you want, I can share the list of NITs where you can where there is a BArch available. So you can also specifically check on the portal of these NITs for more information. So NIT Tiruchirappalli, NIT Rourkela, NIT Raipur, NIT Patna, NIT Hamirpur, and NIT Calicut, Maulana Azad NIT Bhopal, Malaviya NIT Nagpur, and Vishweshwarya NIT Nagpur. So all these 9 NITs offer you architecture BArch course through JEE paper 2. If you want admission in IITs, then there is another entrance exam which is called as AAT, Architecture Aptitude Test, that you have to give. But the candidates only who have JEE Advanced Qualified results can appear for AAT. Okay, so in this case you also have to give JEE compulsory. So guys, this is it for today's session about answering your questions. We at ACube Studio help in counseling as well. So if you are a student or a parent having a child in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and want to know specifically about a particular course or want to know how to go about the entire design career thing, then do get in touch with us. We hold counseling sessions on every Sunday. You can come with prior appointment. You can check out our website also. Apart from this, if you have any questions, then do put in comments down below and we will try to create another video with the answers for those queries. We at ACube also coach students, train them, give them insight into various design fields, train the students for entrance exams like NATA, NID, NIFT, UCEED, exam for Shrishti, MIT, and help them to create exciting portfolio work so that they get admission into the institute that they want. So if you are a student who really wants to pursue a design career in the choice of his or her college, then do get in touch with us and we will be very happy to help you. See you soon.